Hi everyone, welcome back to my Mexican kitchen here in Switzerland. I often get written, like when I share my videos, you get all sorts of comments, nice ones, mean ones, tips, all are welcome. But one that I often get is, do you share Swiss recipes? And yes, I have shared a few, not many, but I thought, okay, let's share another one. And I want to share how to make a meringue. And if most of you have tried it, but maybe you didn't know that they are Swiss. Many people relate them to France or to Italy, but they are Swiss. So I thought that would be kind of cool to share with you guys. They are from a little village, which I already made a video about. It's a really beautiful area in Switzerland. They have this amazing gorge and the scenery is magical. It's like as Swiss as you can get. It's really, really pretty. It's called Meiringen, and I hope you guys enjoy making this recipe because it's really easy and you get to do something Swiss. The ingredients you need to make your meringue cookies or clouds or kisses, however you want to call them, are 4 egg whites, room temperature, 1 cup of sugar, it's normal sugar, normal white sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, a pinch of salt, and optional, it's not needed in the recipe, but I think it tastes nicer, I'm going to add clear vanilla extract. You can add any extract flavor you want, but I recommend that it's clear so it doesn't change the color of your meringues and they keep nice and pretty. And also optional, food coloring in case you want to make them very vibrant. Okay, so before we get started, it's probably easier to give you a few pointers just to make the recipe more simple. Meringues, once you have the texture you need, they have to be piped fast and go into your oven fast. So I recommend already having your oven preheated to the temperature you're going to need to bake them so that you don't risk the shape of your meringue melting. So that would be 95 degrees Celsius or 200 Fahrenheit. So just start preheating your oven before you start the recipe. That being said, I'm going to be using my KitchenAid. You can also use a hand whisker or mixer, sorry. But the important thing here is that you use a nice clean bowl that's not greasy or moist, otherwise your meringues won't turn out nice. So just make sure that your mold is really, really clean and dry. And now for starting the recipe. You only need the egg whites, so I like doing that in a separate bowl, doing egg by egg, and here's the reason why. When you separate your eggs, they're not always all good. Sometimes there might be an egg that's in bad state, or you might have an accident and accidentally break the egg yolk into the egg white, and then you would ruin all your recipe if you're just cracking them all in here. So just do it in 2 separate bowls and you separate your egg white from your egg yolk. You can use your hands, you can use the eggshells, however you want, whatever's easier for you. But as soon as you crack each egg, you're going to do it egg by egg. So you crack your egg, you separate the egg white from the egg yolk, and then you pour your egg white in your bowl. And you do that egg by egg until you're done with all your egg whites. After that, we're going to add our cream of tartar and we're going to add our salt. And we're going to start whisking with the globe attachment until it starts getting a bit more firm. And then once that happens, we're going to start adding our sugar. The sugar we're going to add slowly by spoonfuls. You can't add all the sugar in there because it's not pre-dissolved. It's a French meringue, it's not a Swiss or Italian, which it's already melted. This one is solid, so you really want to add it little by little. It makes it easier to melt into the egg whites. The important part here is patience, so you can use medium speed, and you really have to be whisking until the sugar is fully dissolved. You want to not feel any grains, so just stick your fingers in there and feel it in between your fingers, and if it still feels grainy, then you have to keep mixing until there is no grains left. Once that happens, this is the time to add the extract flavor of your choice. I'm going to be using vanilla extract, a clear one. If you use any extract, I recommend a clear color. And also, if you want to paint your meringues, this is also the time to add the color. If you're going to make several colors, don't add it here. You can do it in separate bowls. But if you're just going to make one color, you can also add the amount of coloring you want depending on the intensity of the color you're looking for in your meringues. And we can wait and then do the next steps. Okay, so we're done whipping our eggs, making our meringue. This is the texture you're looking for, just so you know. And the next part is super fast. You guys have to go like flash, really fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a pastry bag And the tips I'm using are from the brand Wilton, and it's a 4B and a 2D. I'm just looking for the big size because I'm going to be making like little cookies or kisses. So if you're going to be making it in different colors, I suggest, let's say if you start with white, pipe out all the white ones you want to make, and then after, with whatever you have left over, you can add in your food coloring, quickly mix it in, and then start piping out the colored one if you're making 2 colors, for example. But here what you have to do is you need trays and you need parchment paper, or if you have one of these reusable mats, then you can use that. But if you're using parchment paper, when you're piping your meringue cookie or kiss, the paper, it kind of tends to move around because it's so light. So just with the same piping bag, just put a few dollops on each corner so that it's kind of like a glue and it doesn't move around. It'll make your job so much easier. And if you're using the plastic mat, it's heavier, so there you don't really need that so much. But we're going to pipe our cookies kind of like a cookie size, very little. You have to space them a bit. And we're going to bake them at the same temperature I told you guys earlier. You're going to bake them for 1 hour. After the hour, turn off your oven and leave them in there with the oven door closed for at least 2 hours. I like baking them overnight, like during the night, and leaving them drying out in the oven overnight, because they are going to dry out to perfection. The thing is, meringues can be quite humid in the center. The outside looks nice and hollow, but when you bite into it, the center is still a bit gooey. It'll dry out with days or even hours, but the thing is, if you do it overnight, you're guaranteed to bite into the meringue and it's fully the crumbly texture that one knows it just melts in your mouth. So just as a tip, right now you have to go in flash mode and make these meringues really fast. Okay, so we are done with our meringue process. I just want to do a really quick and fast checklist of the tips that I want to give so that you have nice meringues when making them. The first one was the bowl, that to make sure that it has no grease on it, that it's not moist, that it's really dry and really clean. The second one, well, it's the whipping the egg whites with the sugar, that it really dissolves. You have to really be touching and checking to make sure that there's no no grainy, sandy feeling in your mix, that it's fully smooth and sticky. The next one is making sure there's no air bubbles in your piping bag, because, let me show you. Here, let's grab these two. This one is a perfectly piped meringue, no details in it. And this one is a whoopsie meringue where I had some air bubbles in there, so there's a hole in it. So yeah, they still taste nice and look nice, but if you want perfect ones, just make sure to not have any air bubbles in there. And well, the last thing is really just letting them dry out as much as you possibly can so that the center is fully dry and not a bit sticky still, because that can happen, and meringues are nicer if they are the crumbly, soft texture that melts in your mouth and not that you bite into it and it's still gooey. They are cooked, but you want the meringue texture, so just let them dry out as many hours possible. I hope you enjoyed this Swiss recipe. Yeah, Switzerland, and I'll see you guys in the next video.